Hi, it's Stephen here from Sound of an Ocean Wave, coming to do day 28 of the March daily draws. So I hope everyone's well and ready to hear today's message. As usual, I'll take the first card from the Tarot of Dreams deck that I'm now giving a last minute shuffle to, and for an oracle card from the Oracle of Visions deck. So let's see what the cards have to say to us today. Okay, so here we go. And we'll go there. And today's card is the Nine of Swords again. We had this the other day. So we had the Eight of Swords yesterday. And about bursting that bubble that's restricting us, changing our thinking, that those self-imposed thoughts and beliefs that we put on ourselves are holding us back, and that this can include that. It's imagined fears, anxieties, exaggerated worries. It can also refer to actual, problems that are troubling us. Not imagined; they actually exist. Genuine worries like financial worries, relationship worries, etc. And so, if we have these things that are giving us anxiety and fear and stress and keeping us awake at night, the first thing is to establish, and it's hard in the circumstance, is this based in reality? First of all, is this something to be concerned about? Or if we're imagining something, if we're about to do something, and we're creating a worst case scenario in our minds of what might happen, well then it's not actually a reality because it hasn't happened yet. But we're creating this worst case scenario in our minds, and that's a case of where it's not real because it hasn't happened yet. It's only real in our minds. But if we're in the present, if it's because of things that are going on around us, then it is a bit more real, and we can't just dismiss it as in our heads. But I would say, and again, this is easier said than done. Even in those situations, the fear, the anxiety is understandable, but will not help you deal with the situation you're facing. Although there may be genuine concerns that have provided those feelings, the more we dwell on those and just focus on that, the bigger they grow, and the more paralyzed and confused and unable to deal with the situation we become. So I think in those situations, what we need to do is to acknowledge that we have that fear and anxiety over the situation, but decide that we're not going to let that be a deciding factor about how we react to the situation. We acknowledge it, we don't dismiss it, but we decide that they are not going to rule over us in dealing with the situation. We can look to ways as to a more positive, constructive way of dealing with it. So I think the only exception that I might give to that is if we've suffered a bereavement, and I'm not saying that you got to over. Sometimes we need to go through the grieving process. If it's that's creating the stress and the anxiety and fear, you may need to write those out and work through them in time. I'm not just saying it's a mental exercise of positive thinking with things like that. Not necessarily with any situation, but it starts with that. So I'm not saying these are easy things to deal with, and what I'm saying is not every situation perhaps can be handled as simply or as easily as that, or relevantly. But I don't necessarily think this card refers to a situation like a bereavement, losing someone in that sense that has passed away, that's been close to you, and you've got the feelings of grief. This is more anxiety and fear over a situation around you other than something like that. And the more you focus on those, the bigger they grow. So even if there's a genuine cause, rooted in reality around you, to change your circumstance, to deal with that, you need to start moving away, acknowledging it, but rising above the fear and anxiety with a more constructive outlook on the situation. So, after that long rambling explanation, let's choose our oracle card. Okay, there. This is a new one. She's lying there and she's walking on a tightrope there. So is she thinking of this, or is she there fearing this, that she's going to fall, or has she fallen, or is she just thinking about how to actually do it to succeed? Let's turn to the book. I had this one before. Ambition, goals and inspiration, it says here. Setting a target, a goal, something to strive for, a purpose, motivated by need. We now have something to aim for. A young performer lays on the floor in an almost fetal position, possibly exhausted or at the point of giving up. Despite the constant effort and repetition she has put into her endeavours so far, she is once again questioning herself. Can she ever be good enough? Will she ever make it? Despair, doubt and frustration cloud her progress. Possibly her efforts are hampered further by other limitations, physical or mental, or possibly outside factors. Other commitments distract her or compete for her time. It's easy enough to dream and establish goals, which is what this is her goal. She wants to be walking here. The question is now whether that dream is realistically achievable or a distracting oasis that will simply torment but never be reached. So it's that the torment as well. You know, how attainable is your goal, and then maybe the temptation to give up as well, and have these feelings of like I'm never going to make it, never going to do it. Now, if we've perhaps set our goals too high, and maybe, you know, it's an unrealistic goal for us to achieve, maybe we need to do a reassessment. And although I would say that never say anything is impossible, maybe start with something a little bit more reachable, so that do it in stages, so that you start with a smaller goal, and then when you achieve that, that gives you a sense of achievement, sort of a six of wands moment, and that spurs you on. Then you set your next goal a little higher, and then instead of trying to go from down here right up to the top, just go in little stages, climbing a ladder, and go to the next little goal, just the next rung on the ladder, and then before you know it, you're near the top goal. Whereas if you try and move straight from there to there, you're not really going to get there most of the time, and that will give you a sense of failure and that you're never really going to achieve your goals. Well, maybe you need to reassess your goals. So if that's what's keeping you away, the sense of not getting where you need to be, just assess perhaps how your goal setting is, if that's the situation you're in. So to sum up, what I'm saying is that sometimes we can imagine fears that aren't founded, and that gives us the anxiety. Sometimes it comes from genuine situations around us, but the more we focus on that fear, the bigger it grows. And that's we need to move our focus away from the fear and the negative aspect, and look to that slim, thin, slender bit of light that's there, and focus on that to pull us through any dark times. So that's the message for today. I'll be back tomorrow to do day 29. Until then, guys, thank you for listening, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Okay, bye-bye.